Hey guys, how's it going? Here to talk about the new James Gunn directed Suicide Squad movie that released on HBO Max. And I had watched it last night. I had a little bit of drink, watched it with a good friend of mine, and I'm gonna give you guys my opinion on the movie. If I think it's really good, if I think it's shit. And keep in mind, what I say in this review is strictly my opinion and my opinion alone. Let's get into it. If you don't know who James Gunn is a fantastic director. He's known for directing movies like Slither and Guardians of the Galaxy. He's a fantastic director. Very stylized director. Puts a lot of his own brand of humor in it. And when he can go all out with a movie, it's pretty fucking good. And if you've ever seen the movie Slither, you know what I mean. He puts a lot of love and care into his movies. I love his work on Guardians of the Galaxies, and I love his work on Slither. I even love his producing work. I love when he produced the Belko Experiment and when he produced Brightburn, which those two movies people don't really care for, but I do like. So, what do I think of his rendition of the Suicide Squad? I think it's easily the best DC film we've gotten in the past, I would say, close to 10 years. It is a fantastic fucking movie with great directing, great writing, great humor, and the only really negative I have is some pacing issues. And what I think James Gunn really does well with his take on the Suicide Squad is he introduces all these characters into the movie. Characters you may have never even heard of unless you are a diehard fan of the comics, such as like TDK or, you know, Polka Dot Man, shit like that. You're not going to know these people without being such a diehard fan of the comics. And the writing is so good, you actually care about all of the characters. And let's be honest, this movie is technically the Game of Thrones of the DC universe in the Suicide Squad lore. You can care about a character, but then immediately die off. Because in this movie, a lot of fucking people die. I'm not going to spoil who does, because I really urge you to go to theaters and watch this, or get an HBO Max subscription and watch this. Please don't watch it illegally. Support this movie. Support it. Because Warner Brothers needs to know we want more movies like this with great directing and great writing and great characters and a great story. We need more movies like this. But every single character is likable except for Amanda Waller, which James Gunn actually did really well in this movie. They brought back Wanda Sykes for this role, and she is amazing, and she really does add a bit of disdain to this role, and I love it. They actually made her so unfucking likable. That is amazing. It's awesome. But I will say the highlight of this movie was John Cena. I thought I would never say that about a role he's been in because most of the time he's either been okay, like he was in the movie Cop Blockers, or he was terrible, like in Fast 9. But in this movie, him playing Peacemaker was so good. He did a phenomenal job. He was funny. He actually brought a little bit of emotion to the movie, which was amazing. I mean, John Cena brought some emotion to a role. John Cena. I don't know how that's even fucking possible. And if they're going to do standalone movies for these characters, please show why John Cena was in prison, because I would love to see a standalone Peacemaker movie. Another standout, a lot of them are standouts, but another major standout for me is Idris Elba as Bloodsport. So shocked by how, I mean, of course it's Idris Elba. He is a fantastic actor, but how he portrayed Bloodsport was so damn good. Sylvester Stallone as King Shark was amazing. Of course, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is always going to be amazing, and I do think this is her best portrayal of Harley Quinn to date. To date. It's the perfect rendition. Just everyone does such a damn good job in this movie. everyone. Like, I could not find one bad actor for this movie. The humor was something I'm worried about because James Gunn's good at humor, but with these kind of movies, you know, with Suicide Squad, they're trying to integrate the original Suicide Squad, the one with Jared Leto's Joker. They try to integrate weird humor that just didn't work. Like Jared Leto always saying, "Would you like to see my Would you like to see my toys?" And the seagull laugh. The only really funny one to me was Captain Boomerang, which he's in this movie. Jack Courtney comes back as Captain Boomerang, which is pretty funny. But I had to say this movie made me laugh quite a few times. Hard. This movie is funny. This is a very funny, violent movie. This movie is violent as shit. And it's also funny as hell. And if you like the James Gunn brand humor, the humor from like Guardians of the Galaxy, Slither, and shit like that, you're more than likely going to love the humor in this. This is a very funny movie with a very very much a focus on the James Gunn brand humor. It's very dark, but it's also very comedic. I thought the story was pretty good. I thought them integrating the villain Starro, which I never thought I would ever see in a DC film. But lo and behold, James Gunn puts him into a movie. Was an excellent villain. Was an excellent threat for the Suicide Squad to face. I do love the story to this movie. It's basically the same as the original Suicide Squad that came out, but done a million times better with a much more interesting villain. That's what happens, Warner Bros., when you get a good writer and a good director to do something. That's what happens. But a much more interesting villain. And I didn't really have any problems with the story. I didn't find any faults in it myself. Really didn't enjoy the story. The length is a little over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 12 minutes, including credits. So it's more like 2 hours and 6, 2 hours and 7. And it doesn't really feel that. Like when you watch it, time just flies by because you're having so much fun. It really is such a time-passing movie. It's really good like that. The only really flaws I have with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad myself is somewhere around in the middle. It takes a slight dip in the pacing. It wasn't so bad. Like you slightly noticed it, but James Gunn's writing and directing keeps you so invested and so tranced into the screen that it's hard to notice at times. So many people won't notice it. I sort of noticed it, but again, that's just me. So overall, what did I think of James Gunn's Suicide Squad? It's a fucking fantastic movie. It's a movie that deserves your attention. And it's a movie that's going to be put down as one of the best DC films ever made because James Gunn knows how to do this kind of shit. In my opinion, I want to give Suicide Squad, I've been torn between a 9 and a 10. But fuck it. I'm going to go 10 out of 10 with this. James Gunn's Suicide Squad is a fantastic film. Sure, it has some flaws, but man, I had such a blast with this movie. I definitely feel like it was worth my time. I'm definitely buying this shit on Blu-ray. So thank you guys so much for watching my review. I hope you guys had a great time, and I'll talk to you guys next time.